4:20 seconds. Imagine this. A quiet yard at dawn, trucks asleep, air holding its breath. I stepped out with my coffee and heard a low, dry sound, like a door hinge trying to cry. In the treeline something huge shifted. Not metal. Not wind. Something living that should not have been there. I walked slowly, boots pressing gravel into the dirt. The sun had just lifted, painting long stripes across the loading docks. My shift had always started early. I liked the silence before the crew came. It let me count pallets and settle my head. But that morning refused to stay quiet. Another sound came, softer, like a tired cough. "Who's there?" I said, feeling silly for talking to bushes. The brush bent and I froze. A bull stood there, rope tight on his neck, tied to an oak like someone had parked him and forgot the keys. His coat looked dull, ribs showing like crooked fingers under skin. He tried to lower his head to the creek, but the rope stopped him. He didn't snort or charge. He just watched me, eyes wide, a heavy animal holding his fear with manners. "Easy, boy," I whispered, though my throat had gone dry. The knot on the tree looked rushed, ugly, pulled hard until it bit the bark. Whoever tied it had wanted it to hurt. I set my coffee down and stepped closer. The rope burns around his neck were raw. He shifted, and I saw hayseed stuck to his whiskers, like he had kept faith with food that never came. "Who did this to you?" I asked, and it sounded like I was asking the whole morning. I reached for the rope to loosen it, careful, palms open. From behind me, a branch cracked. Footsteps stopped. A voice said low and certain, "Don't touch him." I turned fast, heart thumping like I was caught stealing time. It was Tyler from shipping, backpack half unzipped, keys still in his hand. He stared at the bull, blinked twice and whispered, "Why is there a bull behind our warehouse?" His voice carried that mix of shock and worry people had when life suddenly turned real. "He's tied tight," I said. "Can't move. Looks like someone left him here." Tyler stepped closer but stayed a good few feet behind me. "That rope's digging into him. If he pulls wrong." "I know," I said. "I was just trying to ease it." He rubbed his chin. "Man, who dumps a bull like it's old furniture?" The bull shifted again, gentle, like he understood we were talking about him. No anger in him. Just tired bones and hopeful eyes. His breathing sounded rough, like each breath was a promise he kept only for himself. "We need water," I said. "And someone who knows cows," Tyler replied. I nodded. He pulled his phone out. "Calling someone?" I asked. "My cousin," he said. "She worked on a farm. She'll tell us what to do." "Good," I answered, though doubt crawled under my skin. This wasn't a lost dog. This was 1,400 pounds of muscle, memory, and misery. We backed up slowly so we didn't spook him, though he looked calmer than both of us. Tyler stared at me. "You gonna be late clocking in?" he teased weakly. "Yeah," I said. "Worth it." As we walked toward the warehouse, forklift still asleep inside, I kept looking back. The bull watched me like I was the only thread holding him to this world. Something inside me turned, like a door I thought was locked slid open again. Tyler stopped at the door and said, "You know, this doesn't end at water and a phone call, right?" I didn't answer. But deep down I knew he was right. This wasn't going to be simple. And somehow that didn't scare me, it woke me. Tyler's cousin didn't even pick up, so he left a rushed voicemail. While he talked, I filled 2 buckets from the outside tap by the loading bay. Cold water splashed my boots, but all I pictured was that bull's dry tongue. When I returned to the treeline, he lifted his head like hope had weight and he was willing to carry it again. "Easy, boy," I murmured and pushed the bucket forward. He leaned, slow and shaky, rope scraping bark as he stretched. His tongue reached the water, and the sound of him drinking, deep, desperate gulps, hit me harder than any alarm siren ever had. It sounded like survival, like someone crawling back from a cliff edge. I whispered, "You've been waiting a long time, haven't you?" He kept drinking, and somehow that answered everything. Behind me, truck engines started, voices rose, the day waking up loud and fast. But I stayed there kneeling like time belonged to us alone. When he finished, he lifted his head and looked straight at me. Not wild. Not confused. Just tired and trusting, like he had decided I wasn't another person who would turn away. A door slammed from the building. "Hey, Marcus, you hiding out here?" It was Dan, the floor manager. I glanced over my shoulder. "Be right there," I shouted. He stepped out further, saw the bull, and his face went blank. "What in the, is that real?" "Very real," I said. "And tied up like that?" "Yeah." He exhaled hard through his teeth. "Call animal control." "They'll put him down," I replied without thinking. "That's what they do," he said, shrugging like it was weather. "We can't keep a bull." Something in me tightened. He wasn't wrong, but he wasn't right either. I looked at the animal again. He blinked slow, like he knew the room where decisions get made and had lived inside that silence before. Not yet, I muttered, half to Dan, half to myself. Not like this. Dan shook his head. Careful, Marcus. Once you start caring, you're stuck. He walked away. I stayed. And the bull watched me like he was waiting to see what kind of person I really was. I stood there longer than I meant to, feeling the morning rush start without me. Forklifts beeped inside, radios clicked on, metal clanged like the warehouse was shaking off sleep. But inside my chest, everything had gone still. Then gravel crunched again. I turned, expecting Tyler. Instead, it was my father. I didn't even know he was in town. He walked slow, hands in jacket pockets, eyes already fixed on the bull like he had seen this scene before in another life. You didn't tell me you'd be dealing with cattle before sunrise, he said, voice steady but edged with memory. Didn't plan it, I replied. He scanned the bull, reading him the way mechanics read engines. Jersey. Bull not steer. Older. Rope burn. Underfed. Somebody wanted to forget him. I swallowed. Looks that way. And you? I couldn't walk past. He looked at me for a moment, not judging, just knowing. My father had once owned cows, waking before dawn, feeding even when money didn't stretch far enough for himself. The scene probably tasted like old days to him, days we lost. The bull shifted, eyes flicking between us like he recognized a family resemblance in the way we stood. Dad crouched, not too close, arms resting on his knees. You thirsty old boy, he murmured. The bull let out a low breath, almost a sigh. Dad straightened. Call the vet, he said. Not animal control. A vet first. Tyler jogged back over then, panting. She texted back. Said don't cut the rope fast or he might thrash. Dad nodded like the bull belonged to him already. She's right. We'll loosen, not free him yet. I stared at my father. You're helping? He shrugged. I thought you forgot this life. Seeing you here, maybe you didn't. There was a pause heavy enough to bend branches. A forklift horn blared from inside. I should have gone in. Clocked in. Pretended the day was normal. But normal didn't fit anymore. Dad placed a hand on my shoulder. Son, if you step into this, you finish it. Animals don't understand half rescues. The bull breathed slow, watching us like he already believed we would choose right. I nodded, quiet but sure. We finish it. And in that moment, I didn't feel like a warehouse worker ignoring a problem. I felt like someone who had remembered something important. Something I thought was gone forever. Dad's words sat heavy in my chest as we walked back toward the trees. The bull shifted his weight again, hooves scraping soft ground, rope pressing into his neck. Every small move looked painful. I reached toward the knot slowly, hands open like I was offering peace instead of help. Easy, I whispered. My voice shook a little. It wasn't fear of him, it was fear of failing him. Dad watched my hands, then the bull's face. Talk to him. Animals listen more than people do. So I did. Quiet, steady, careful. You're all right now. You're not alone anymore. We're here. We see you. The bull blinked slow, almost like he understood the language of tone more than words. I loosened the rope, not enough for him to run or hurt himself, just enough to give breath back to his neck. His chest expanded deeper than before and he let out a soft sound. Relief. A thank you without letters. Then footsteps came again, this time fast, nervous. Tyler returned with a woman in work boots and a flannel jacket. This is Amelia, he said. She grew up on cattle. She stepped right up to the rope like she had been born beside farm fences. Who leaves a bull like this? She muttered. Then to me, he's gentle. But scared. And hungry. You feed him yet? Water first, I replied. She nodded. Good. Food comes second when an animal's been starving. Water's life first. Dad crossed his arms. We call a vet? On the way, Amelia said. Didn't like how he sounded over the phone. Said she's coming herself. I looked at her. At Tyler. My father. None of us were supposed to be here doing this. And yet every one of us stayed. The bull lifted his head and pressed it gently toward my shoulder. Not touching, just asking if trust was allowed. My chest tightened. I didn't move away. For a moment, nothing else existed. No forklifts, no deadlines, no life waiting inside those warehouse walls. Just a living soul and a promise forming in the space between breath and care. I whispered, barely louder than wind, we're not walking away from you. And deep inside, something old woke up again. Something I thought I had buried with the farm, with childhood, with simpler mornings. Responsibility. And something even heavier, belonging. The vet's truck rolled up faster than I expected. Tires crushed gravel with purpose. A woman stepped out, mid-40s, hair pulled back, sleeves already rolled as if she knew she'd get dirty. No clipboard. No hesitation. She looked straight at the bull first, then at us. "Who found him?" she asked. "I did," I said. She nodded once and walked closer, talking low, gentle, like she spoke fluent animal calm. "Big boy, you've had a rough time, haven't you?" Her tone felt like warm hands on a cold morning. The bull shifted toward her voice. No fear, only exhaustion. She knelt near his neck, studying the rope burns. "He's dehydrated, underfed, rope injury, but alert." "That's good." She turned to me. "You did right loosening the rope but not freeing him. Shock can make them panic." Tyler let out a breath. "So he'll live." "If someone cares enough," she answered. "These cases go two ways, survival or surrender. Depends on the humans involved." That line sat between us like a test. Dad's eyes flicked to mine, but he didn't speak. The vet continued, "County policy will tell you to call animal control. And they'll put him down," I said quietly. "Yes." She didn't soften it. "Most folks don't have the time or space for a bull. People think rescue ends at feeling sorry. It doesn't." The bull leaned his head against the tree as if resting his hope there. The vet touched his cheek, gentle as sunlight. "But he wants to live. You can see it." I felt something tighten in my throat. It wasn't sadness. It was a pulling, like something in me remembered this before I had time to name it. "What do we do?" I asked. She looked at me steady. "Someone signs responsibility until a safe placement is found. Shelter won't take him. Rescue farms are full. It will fall on whoever steps forward." Tyler shifted awkwardly. Amelia stared at the ground like she felt guilty for not stepping first. Dad just watched me, silent, waiting, not pushing, not rescuing me from the choice. I swallowed. "If I do it, he won't be alone." "You sure?" she asked. I looked at the bull. At those tired brown eyes that kept choosing trust even after someone betrayed it. "Yes," I whispered. "I'm sure." Dad let out a breath, long and soft, like he'd been holding it for years. The vet nodded. "Then let's get him ready. Today his life changes." The bull exhaled too, and it sounded almost like relief, like he had been waiting for someone to finally say yes to him, not walk away like everyone else before. And right there, in that quiet space between what life was and what life could become, I felt something shift forever. The vet began unpacking supplies from her truck. Saline, antiseptic, rope padding, a small kit that looked worn from years of work. Dad and Tyler backed up a bit, giving space, but I stayed right there beside the bull. Somehow, I felt like stepping away would break a promise I hadn't even spoken aloud yet. The bull's breathing slowed as she worked. Every time she touched a wound, he flinched just slightly, then steadied as if trusting the pain would lead somewhere better. I kept one hand near his neck, not touching, just close enough to feel like I was present. "You ever handled bulls before?" the vet asked without looking up. "Long time ago," I said. "My dad raised dairy cattle." Dad gave a small hum, almost proud but not loud enough to claim it. "So you know," she replied. "They're powerful, but they don't forget kindness. Or cruelty." The bull blinked slow, tired. The world around us carried on. Forklifts starting, radios buzzing, someone laughing too loud near the dock. But none of it reached here. Here was quiet and careful and real. The vet wrapped the rope with soft cloth to stop the burn. "When was the last time you felt this?" she asked suddenly. I frowned. Felt what? Responsibility that meant something. It hit me like a memory I wasn't ready for. My father loading hay in the rain. Me, 13 years old, carrying buckets twice my arm's size, believing the world was made of work and love in equal parts. Before we lost the farm. Before life became alarms and schedules and scanning barcodes until my heart forgot it had roots. I didn't answer her. I didn't need to. The bull nudged forward just a little, like he could sense the shift inside me. Dad murmured, "They always know." The vet stood. "He needs food, shelter, space, and time. You can't do this halfway." "I'm not planning to," I said. Tyler scratched his head. "So what now?" "We get him water through the day," the vet replied. "Then we move him. Safely. With help." "Move him where?" Tyler asked. They all looked at me. My voice came out before fear could stop it. "My place. For now." Tyler's eyes widened. "You're serious?" Dad didn't even blink. "He's serious." It felt like the world paused to see if I meant the weight of my own words. And I did. I really did. The bull shifted again, not nervous, almost relieved. like he had been standing between life and nothing, waiting for someone to claim him on the right side. Under the morning light, with the smell of hay and earth rising from the ground, I understood something simple and true. I hadn't saved him yet, but he had already begun saving me. Word spread through the warehouse faster than forklifts warmed up. By the time mid-morning hit, half the crew had taken smoke breaks just to walk past the trees and whisper about the bull. Some laughed softly, unsure why an animal suddenly mattered. Some just shook their heads, like kindness was a strange language they once knew but forgot how to speak. I stayed with him. Didn't clock in. Didn't care. The world could run without me for a few hours. This life here couldn't. Dad paced, thinking. We'll need transport. Trailer. Boards. Straps. Tyler rubbed the back of his neck. My uncle has a trailer, but it's a beat-up one. It'll do, Dad replied. We aren't moving furniture. We're moving a heart. The bull flicked an ear at Dad's voice like he agreed. From behind us came a familiar voice. Dan again. Boss wants you inside, Marcus. Says you're falling behind. I didn't turn. I'll catch up. You sure? I'm sure. He sighed. You know HR ain't gonna understand bull duty on a timesheet. Then I'll talk to them. What? What's he to you? I finally faced him. A living being someone threw away. I'm not doing that too. Dan stared at me a moment. Something softened in his face, not approval, just remembering. Then he nodded and left. The vet finished checking the bull's hooves. He can travel. Slow, steady, easy slope. Uncle's trailer slopes like a hill, Tyler said. Dad smirked. Then we'll build a ramp. That was when another sound cut through the morning, the rumble of an old pickup. A gray-haired man stepped out, sturdy, sun-leathered skin, sharp eyes that had seen too many farm auctions, and muttered goodbyes. Tyler called me, he said. He said there's a bull that needs saving. I don't refuse that kind of call. The bull lifted his head, like dignity had just walked onto the gravel. I felt breath slip out of me, not in defeat but in recognition. This wasn't chance anymore. It was a pull, a thread tying hands and hearts together around one forgotten life. Dad looked at me again. Son, sometimes life tests you by showing you who needs you most. You answer or you regret it forever. I nodded, slow but steady. Then let's start. Because saving him wasn't something I planned. It was something I remembered how to be. The farmer with the trailer, Mr. Collins as Tyler introduced him, walked toward the bull with the quiet confidence of someone who had earned respect from animals and land, not people. He didn't rush. He didn't talk loud. He just stood there a moment, breathing the same air, letting the bull see him. That silence felt like a handshake older than any of us. He's patient, Collins finally said. Means he didn't start life rough. Someone raised him right once. That hit harder than expected. The bull had known gentleness before being abandoned. Somehow that made everything heavier. Let's start clearing space near the trailer, Dad said. We'll guide him slow. I stepped forward. I'll walk beside him. No, Collins replied softly. He'll walk beside you. Big difference. We worked in steady rhythm, moving pallets, laying boards to make a smooth path. Everyone who wandered close enough to see either stayed to help or walked away quietly like they didn't trust their own hearts around this kind of moment. The vet prepared a mild calming dose. Not to knock him down, she explained, just enough to cut fear. Fear. Not strength. Not stubbornness. Fear. That word landed like a pebble in deep water. Dad tied a soft rope loosely, not pulling, just offering direction. Collins held the other end. The bull hesitated, hooves shifting on soil, eyes flicking from rope to trees to me. I stepped to his shoulder and whispered, I'm right here. You don't have to be scared anymore. He breathed out slow, like deciding trust one more time was worth the risk. When he took that first step, it felt like the sun lifted higher. Every board creaked, every breath counted. A worker by the door stopped and whispered, he's moving with him. Not being forced. Choosing. Halfway to the trailer, the bull paused and nudged my arm. Not hard, just enough to say, I know you're with me. Dad's voice was low, almost proud. You don't guide an animal like this with strength. You guide him with promise. And I realized, maybe that's what he was giving me too. A promise to become someone I thought I left behind. The path to the trailer felt longer than the parking lot ever had. Every few steps, the bull paused like he was asking, are you sure this is safe? Are you sure I belong here? And each time I stayed by his side and breathed slow so he could match me. When we reached the ramp, Collins nodded. Let him look. Let him think. Bulls don't like sudden futures. So we waited. No rushing. No shouting commands. Just time and quiet faith. He sniffed the wooden boards, ears flicking, tail low. His whole body carried fear but not defiance, like he had learned that trusting humans came with pain, but he still wanted to believe anyway. Dad murmured near my shoulder, "You remember moving cattle when you were a kid?" "Yeah. You always talked to them like they understood you." "Maybe they did," I whispered. Finally, the bull lifted one foot and placed it on the ramp. Wood groaned under his weight. Then another step. I felt air leave my chest. Relief mixed with something deeper, like watching a wounded soul choose life 1 inch at a time. Halfway up, he froze again. His breathing turned sharp, eyes widening like he remembered every hand that ever abandoned him. I stepped in front, facing him, palms open. "Look at me," I whispered. "You're not being left again. I promise." He blinked once, then leaned forward, head brushing my arm. That soft touch broke something open in me. I wasn't guiding him anymore. We were walking together. When he finally stepped into the trailer, the small cheering from the workers sounded like thunder in my chest. Not loud, not wild, just proud human relief carried on breath. Collins shut the gate gently, not slamming it. "Good boy," he whispered through the bars. "You're safe now." But as soon as the latch clicked, a new thought rose in my mind, quiet, careful, terrifying in its truth. I wasn't just taking a bull home. I was walking back toward the life I abandoned too. Dad rested his hand on my back, steady. "This isn't charity, son. This is calling." And in that moment, I couldn't tell who was being moved more, him or me. The drive to my house felt like 2 lives riding in the same truck. One that knew how to carry pallets and clock out, and one that remembered sunrises through barn doors and the sound of grain hitting metal buckets. I followed behind the trailer, hands tight on the wheel, eyes flicking to the mirror every few seconds, making sure the bull was still calm, still there, still trusting me. My driveway looked small when we pulled in, like it wasn't built for a moment this big. The backyard, just grass, a shed, a half-forgotten garden line, suddenly felt like it had a heartbeat waiting to happen. Dad and Collins climbed out first, walking the yard with the serious faces men get when they measure possibility. "This ain't built for cattle," Collins muttered. "I know," I answered. Dad pointed toward the shed. "We reinforced that. Build a pen. Borrow panels. Should hold him for a bit." "A bit?" I asked. Dad looked at me. "You think this ends in a week?" I didn't answer because deep down I already knew. We opened the trailer door slowly. The bull stood still inside, breathing steady but heavy, like every moment was a question he was trusting us to answer right. When the ramp dropped, he stepped back, muscles tightening like a memory of fear crawled up his spine. "It's all right," I whispered. My voice felt like the rope between us, thin but strong enough if faith held it. I stepped in beside him again. Not pushing. Just existing where he could see me. The bull moved forward, shoulder brushing mine like a fragile hello. Each step down felt like a promise being carved into earth. When his hooves touched my yard, something strange happened. He lifted his head, sniffed the air, and made a soft sound, almost hopeful. Like he could feel safety settling around him. Tyler whistled low. "You just brought a bull to the suburbs, man?" I smiled, small and tired. Feels like he brought something back to me too. Dad put his hand on the fence post, steadying himself in the moment at once. "This yard's about to change. And so are you." I didn't say it out loud, but I felt it in my bones. He wasn't the only one trying to find a home again. We worked until the afternoon light turned gold and long across the grass. Sweat on our necks, dust on our hands, tools clattering like some old forgotten rhythm waking up. Dad and Collins measured and hammered. Tyler fetched boards. I held panels in place while the bull stood nearby, watching us with steady eyes as if he knew this wasn't just building, it was rebuilding. Every so often, he'd lean his head toward me, slow and gentle, like checking if I was still here. I always was. I didn't drift away this time. Didn't hide behind schedules or responsibilities shaped by someone else's idea of living. I stayed. "Last board," Collins said, wiping his forehead. The pen was small but firm, safe, temporary, but not temporary in the way goodbye feels. Temporary like a door waiting to open to something permanent. The bull walked in without being pulled, like trust had become muscle memory again. A soft grunt escaped him, almost relief. Dad set water inside and the bull drank calmly. I leaned on the fence, heart heavy and full at the same time. Tyler whistled again. "You know you gotta tell your girlfriend, right?" "I know," I sighed. "What are you gonna say?" "That we're not alone anymore," I answered. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. Her name lit the screen. I stared at it a moment, then answered. "You home already?" she asked. Yeah. You sound strange. What happened? I stepped back, looking at the bull chewing hay in my yard like he had been here his whole life. There's something here I need to show you, I said. Someone. Pause. Then, soft but curious, someone? Yeah, I breathed. He needed help. And I couldn't walk away. Another silence. Then she said something I didn't expect. Bring him into the light so he knows he's safe. My throat tightened. You'll come? Of course. Love doesn't run from responsibility. I closed my eyes a moment. Sometimes life doesn't give you miracles. Sometimes it gives you chances, and waits to see if you'll rise to meet them. Dad clapped my shoulder. Boy, this is where life changes. You ready? I looked at the bull, at the fence, at the sun lowering like it was blessing the day. I'm not ready, I said. Then I smiled slow. But I'm willing. The bull lifted his head toward me, soft eyes holding quiet thanks. In that moment, I didn't feel like I was saving him. I felt like we were stepping forward into a life that had been waiting for both of us to return. Evening settled slow, like the sky didn't want to rush what was happening in my yard. Lights from neighboring houses flicked on one by one, families moving through routines I used to think were enough to fill a life. But standing there, fence under my hands, bull resting in fresh hay, it felt like everything I had called normal was suddenly too small to fit inside me. When my girlfriend's car pulled in, I felt nervous in a way lifting heavy pallets never made me feel. She stepped out carefully, looking around like she was entering a sacred place instead of my yard. Where is he? She asked gently. I pointed. The bull lifted his head, recognized new footsteps but didn't panic. I walked beside her so he would know she belonged to me. He sniffed the air, then lowered his head in a slow, calm way as if offering trust again, just in a new direction this time. She pressed a hand over her heart. Oh, she whispered. He looks tired and kind. I nodded. He didn't ask for this. Someone left him, tied him, forgot him. But you didn't, she said, looking at me like she was seeing deeper than usual. Dad stood a little apart, arms crossed, watching both of us, pride hidden behind a neutral face, but I felt it anyway. Collins had already left. Tyler too. It was just us now, humans in a life that everyone else walked past. The bull chewed hay, head slightly tilted, watching as if he knew this was a moment where decisions settled into roots. She touched my arm lightly. You know, keeping him isn't just feeding and watering. It's choosing a different path. I know. And that path, is it calling you? The question didn't need time. I felt the answer in my bones, in my hands, in the old memories that woke up the second I saw that rope around his neck. Yes, I said quietly. It feels like I found something I lost. She smiled, not big, not dramatic, just soft and sure. Then I'm with you. Whatever this becomes. The bull exhaled, long and peaceful, and laid down in the hay like the earth itself had finally stopped shaking under him. For a while we just stood there, the air cool, crickets starting up, a streetlight flickering to life. My father touched the fence once, gentle, then said, There's a reason that animal came to you. Don't lose sight of it. And as the sky darkened, a simple truth settled in me so quiet and strong that it felt like a promise written in soil and breath. Saving him wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning. The night passed quietly. I barely slept, but not from worry, more like my mind wouldn't stop replaying the sound of his breathing, steady and safe. At sunrise, before alarms or work schedules or emails could decide my morning, I stepped outside. Dew covered the grass. The air felt new, like the world had reset itself while we rested. The bull lifted his head the moment he saw me. No fear. No doubt. Just recognition, like he believed I'd show up again and was glad he was right. I carried water and hay over. He nudged the bucket before drinking like a quiet hello. That small gesture settled inside me like a stone in the right place. Dad joined soon after, coffee steaming in his hand, boots already muddy from checking the fence line. He didn't say good morning, he didn't need to. We shared the kind of silence people only earn through years and soil. You told work yet? He asked finally. I sighed. Called in. Said it was an emergency. And tomorrow? I looked at the bull chewing calmly, sunlight warming his back. Tomorrow felt different now. Tomorrow, I don't think I go back. Dad nodded slowly, not surprised, just accepting what life had already decided. I lost a farm once, he said. Hurt like losing breath. Thought nobody in this family would hold cattle again. And now? I asked. He smiled a little. Now I see sometimes life doesn't take things away, it holds them until you're ready again. My girlfriend joined us with coffee, standing on my left while Dad stood on my right. The bull breathed softly between us, like peace had waited and chose this yard to rest in. Tyler texted, "Everyone at work is talking. They think you lost it." I typed back, "Maybe I found it." The vet called checking in. Said sanctuary spots existed, but wait lists were long. I looked at the bull. Looked at the life waking under my feet. "We're not in a rush," I told her. And I meant every word. The bull leaned his head against the fence gently, just a touch, a reminder that living things don't forget who stood for them when nobody else did. I whispered, "You're safe now?" And I realized it wasn't only him I was saying it to. Sometimes we think we rescue someone. Sometimes we are the ones being brought back home. Moral lesson. You don't always choose who needs you. Sometimes they choose you, and lead you back to the life you were meant to live. Compassion doesn't take something from you, it gives you back everything you forgot you were.